Byron Donalds and Jim Crow is all over MSNBC. That's all they talk about on MSNBC, and it's all over X. And Byron Donalds, he went on with Al Sharpton and Joy Reid and tried to explain himself, which they're not going to let happen. So let me get into this. So they're accusing Byron Donalds. This is the MSNBC. They've been talking about this, it seems like all day, every day. They're accusing Byron Donalds of saying life was better for black people under Jim Crow, which is, he goes on these shows and he says, that's not what I said. You're lying. I didn't say that. So I thought I would share with you all what Byron Donalds did say. I want to play the whole thing uninterrupted, all right? And then Kathy and I will talk about it. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Welcome. This audio of Byron Donalds, what he really said, it was broadcast on CNN. It was a town hall he was doing. It was not that easy to find, okay? Took me a few minutes to find it. All the people accusing him of saying it was better under Jim Crow for blacks, that's all over the place, very easy to find. When I say it was hard to find, it took like 5 minutes. But in this day and age, finding something on social media or on the internet, 5 minutes is an eternity. That's a long time. It usually doesn't take so long to find something like that is so recent. But there's obviously an effort to bury it, and all these people that are out to slander Byron Donalds, like Joy Reid, Al Sharpton, and the entire crew at MSNBC, they don't want you to hear what I'm about to share with you, okay? So this was on CNN, Byron Donalds. It was a town hall. They're after Byron Donalds for the reason is that he's a couple reasons. He's a black Republican. He's black MAGA. He's on Donald Trump's short list to be vice president, and he's incredibly popular. You know, Byron Donalds, if he's not Trump's vice president, he could very well be the next governor of Florida because DeSantis is term limited out. He can't run for re-election. And if there was ever an opening with one of our Senate seats, he could walk
I'd like
into
to
that.
see him as governor, not VP. We need a good governor.
He's very good, Byron Donalds.
I think at MSNBC, before you play this, I personally feel Joy Reid has a thing for this guy.
Yeah, she's in love with him.
She's in love with him, and she is desperate to get him into the fold. I think that
back
MSNBC,
on the plantation.
Back on the plantation. I think that the MSNBC, led by her, she has got a mission. She sees him as and I'm using her words, a strong black man. And I think it drives her nuts that he's married to a white woman and that he's a conservative. Yes. And she's attracted to him. He's an attractive guy. And she is desperate to get him on her side and to get him back on the plantation, as Brian said. I think that's what this whole motivation is about, because he's on her show a lot. He's on MSNBC a lot, and I'm sure he has his own reasons for that, but he doesn't have to go on. They keep inviting him.
Yeah.
And I think they're really trying to get him back on the plantation, as Brian says, is for lack of a better phrase.
So let me play this.
Plantation.
Now I'm going to play this uninterrupted, and then we'll talk about it. This is Byron Donalds. It's the town hall. It was aired on CNN. He took a question when the Jim Crow comment was made.
I grew up with my mom. My dad and my mom, things didn't work out. As an adult, I look at my father and I say, bro, I don't know what happened, but you my father and I love you. Wow. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. Wow. But I'm going to tell you this. Growing up, the one thing I knew I wanted to do, and this is not about my father, this is about what I wanted to do, is I wanted to be a father to myself. Wow. And so one of the things that's actually happening in our culture, which you're now starting to see in our politics, is the reinvigoration of black families with younger black men and black women. And that is also helping to breed the revival of a black middle class in America. You see, during Jim Crow, the black family was together. During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people are always a bit conservative-minded, but more black people voted conservatively. And then H.E.W., Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are. What's happened in America the last 10 years, and I say it because it's my contemporaries, it's Wesley's contemporaries, you're starting to see more black people be married.
Okay, that's it. And what he was talking about before Jim Crow, black families were more intact is, and I know most of you know this, but for those that don't, I explain. Before Lyndon Johnson came up with the Great Society, the War on Poverty. Before that, there was no welfare as we know it currently. So welfare came into existence, and the government required things. A woman with children could not qualify for welfare benefits if there was a man living in the home.
Right.
So there was an old saying that when they used to have social workers that knocked on people's doors. Now they just, you go online, you fill it out, you're done. But they used to have social workers that went door to door. And there was an old saying that said, when the social worker knocks on the door, the husband runs out the back door. And after a while, they just did away with the husband altogether. He was never there to run out the back door. And that's what Byron Donalds is talking about. Everybody knows this. It's been talked about for 50 years. It's not new. And these people on MSNBC, they know it too. But see, what they're doing to Byron Donalds is a lot like they did to Sarah Palin when she was running for vice president. They're threatened by him because they know he's very popular, charismatic. He could be vice president. They're afraid he might even be the second MAGA president in 2028.
What he said is not, he didn't say Jim Crow was great. Jim Crow was started by the Democrats right after the Civil War ended because they did not want, now that all the blacks were freed, they did not want them to have rights still. And this was a way to control the black population by limiting them from going to restaurants or places they go, churches, things like that. Schools. So it was a way to keep things separate, because of course the Southern Democrats were freaking out.
And it was the Klan too.
And it was the Klan that was behind it all and the Democratic Party.
So Byron Donalds obviously thinks all that was evil.
And in 1968 it ended and the Republicans ended it. And that's what he's trying to make everybody understand is black history, the true black history. And he didn't say Jim Crow was great. He just said during that time, families were more together. All families were more together than even white families during that. Maybe he should have. I think he just said Jim Crow era because that's something the black community relates to and they understand what he's saying. MSNBC took it out of context, but in the 60s and before the 70s, most families were together. To me, it was the women's lib movement that destroyed the family along with welfare. But what he is saying is not Jim Crow is good. He's just saying during that particular time, before Jim Crow was ended, just in that particular time frame in the country, black families stuck more together. And he's not saying that was great.
And
he's just referencing that time frame.
Everybody knows that. Okay, including Reverend Sharpton, by the way, Reverend Sharpton, does he have a church that he preaches at on Sundays? Because he seems to be on MSNBC every Sunday. Joy Reid, they all know this, okay?
He shouldn't be working on Sunday. If he's a reverend, he should know that he's breaking one of the 10 Commandments.
But Byron Donalds, though, he did something that a lot of people would think was a mistake. And normally I would say it was, but in this instance, it's not. Since this happened, he's been repeatedly going on these liberal shows on these liberal networks, okay? And I am always one, you don't go on these shows to apologize or try to explain yourself.
I agree.
But I think things are a little different in this instance because Byron Donalds came off very well in all these interviews. And if you watch, I'm not going to play them now for you. You can go online and watch him with Sharpton and Joy Reid talking about this. Anytime he starts to put in context what he said, they just bark at him and shout him down.
They don't let him talk.
And people are not stupid. They see this. So I think in this is one of those rare instances where I think it was a good idea for him to go on those shows.
I disagree with you totally.
Because I think he looked great in all those interviews.
He always looks good, but I think it was a waste of time. And
not to some viewers
they're not going to let him. The only people watching MSNBC are radical liberals. He's not going to change any of their minds. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't. I've felt it look like he was going on an apology tour in a way.
You don't want to do that,
and I don't think that he needed to explain himself to anybody. And sometimes some things don't need to be explained; they just need to be left alone. And I think it would have been better for him just to not go to on MSNBC trying to explain himself, because that's how they made it look like he owes an explanation, and he does not. We know what he meant. He wasn't saying Jim Crow was great. I mean, no black person would say that.
No white person either, unless
exactly.
White supremacist.
Exactly. He's just saying during that time, he said, I don't know what happened. I don't know what, I know what happened.
Well, Joe Biden might say it was a good time. He was around then.
He was for segregation. Remember, Kamala Harris pointed that out.
Yeah. All right. So that's that. And I think Byron Donalds is really going places. I like him a lot.
He's great.
So
I put an article, by the way, on your Facebook group about the Jim Crow laws, the definition facts from history.com. Yeah. Very interesting, and if you want to read up about it, and talks about how the Klan and the Democratic Party
are the same.
Tried to stop stop the black people from advancing. And I had said to you, it is amazing to me because I'm reading this book, Killing the Witches by Bill. I'm almost done with it, and it's gone into this area of the Revolutionary War for some reason, and I don't know why more. I've never seen any black person named Crispus after Crispus Attucks.
Yeah.
I don't understand why nobody has named their child after this guy.
Because he's been wiped out from history pretty much.
He is his death, he was an ex-slave who was working on a whaling boat, and he was at a bar up in Boston with a bunch of white guys that were his friends. And he was standing in front of a bunch of English soldiers, and he was 6'2" tall guy, big guy. And he was facing these British soldiers, and they shot him. And that was what really one of the major catalysts for the Revolutionary War was his death. And it is amazing to me. Do black people not know the history of this man? It is amazing to me. I've never heard of any black guy named after him.
Most Americans don't know the history of him. You don't hear his name very often anymore.
I've heard of him, though. I've heard of him.
But not these days, because you and I went to school during the bicentennial era, and those guys were talked about a lot. But I haven't heard his name in years. He was one of the guys killed at the Boston Massacre and all that. And he
was the first adult. There was a child, an 11-year-old, who they say is the first casualty of the Revolutionary War. That died right before him, but he's very famous, and the British opened fire on a group, and he was standing in the front of the group, and I read a lot about him. He's a very interesting man. I've never seen him featured in a movie. I've never heard of any black person named after him, which is remarkable to me. So I don't understand. Instead, they'll tell you that Moses was black. Some people, like your caller, do some people learn an alternate history, or do they not learn the real history of their people? I don't get it.
So, Candace Owens, she spoke over the weekend at Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA. He had a conference with like powerful conservative women, and they had like Laura Trump, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alina Habba, a whole bunch of women like that. And Candace Owens spoke, and of course she's very popular, and she's coming back with her podcast and stuff again soon. Mm-hmm. I have not seen a date of it yet, but soon. And instead of calling it the Candace Owens Show or the Candace Owens Podcast, she's just going to call it Candace. She's going to be like, Geraldo,
like Cher or Madonna.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to do the one name thing, which is fine.
I think that's a good idea.
I think that's fine. But she was at the Turning Point conference. She gave a speech, and then she took questions. One person got up and asked her about getting fired from the Daily Wire. She said, I cannot comment on that. But then towards the end, she did say something about Ben Shapiro. So let me play this for you.
I wonder how long her NDA is good.
Nobody knows.
Is good for.
Nobody knows. It has not been released. So this is Candace Owens over the weekend at the Turning Point Women's, whatever they call the thing, conference.
You guys, the last thing that I am going to say, strangely, this is such a crazy story, but as I was headed in here, I got a frantic call from somebody. They called me and they said, Candace, something very weird is happening. The Daily Wire has sent somebody secretly to record you, an intern, a PR intern, to secretly record you, to catch you in a bad moment, in a bad light. And To be fair, it is never the fault of a person when their employer is sending them to do something that isn't good. Apparently, she got an email at 10 p.m., hopped on a plane, is pretending to be a student. And so I do just want to say to Ben Shapiro, enough. Come out into the light. Really, come on. Let's do this debate. Stop sending interns to do your dirty work. I don't bite. I'm down for the debate. Charlie Kirk says he will fly you out. He will fly you out next week to Detroit, and we can do the debates on his stage. Thank you, Turning Point USA. Let's take some questions.
Okay. Now, I'm glad she's back with Charlie Kirk. I used to think they were a couple. Maybe they were. I don't know.
Yeah.
At some point. Okay. A lot's going on here. You know, she's got this non-disclosure thing, this NDA thing, you know, that's been talked about all the time, where she can't talk about certain things. Mm-hmm. And a few weeks ago, Jeremy Boring was doing a Twitter Spaces thing and was talking about a debate between her and Ben Shapiro in Nashville, which for some reason, she was in England. And they wanted her there like a day or two later. It didn't happen, and she wants to do it. Patrick Bet-David's offered to put up money for it. Charlie Kirk's offering to loan a jet for it. There are a lot of people who are doing this because it's a big thing. Okay, a few things here. You know, Ben Shapiro's popularity, I think, is 100% fake, okay? And I know I'm not alone with this. Ben Shapiro is not a likable person. He's a hardcore never-Trumper. He's not likable. He talks as fast as an auctioneer. Mm-hmm. I do agree with him on Israel. I will say this. I do agree with him 100% on Israel. And you guys, some of you guys give me a hard time for that. I'm really sad. But I do agree with him on Israel. But everything, I don't like him at all. I think he is unlikable. I think his show is difficult to listen to. I don't like that he's a never-Trumper. I don't think there's a single quality about Ben Shapiro that's likable. And the reason he's so popular, and I'm not the only one that's talked about this, Mark Dice has talked about this too, but other than myself and Mark Dice, I haven't heard anybody talk about this. Ben Shapiro's popularity of his podcast is because they spend millions and millions of dollars and have been doing this for years and continue to do it today on Facebook ads on other platforms and things like this to push his show.
They must get subscribers, though. I mean, where are they getting the income?
They get listeners and things like this, but you know,
they lost a lot. Since
there's a lot of
her?
There's a lot of people that are conservative show hosts, that are never Trumpers that I always have my eye on, like Mark Levin, Glenn Beck, this Buck Sexton and Clay Aiken guy and things like this. But those guys have a fan base of people that like them. You know, I have never, I'll tell you this. I don't know anyone who's told me anything positive about Ben Shapiro, other than he's conservative. Oh, he talks too fast. I don't like him. He's annoying. He's this, he's that. All of his popularity is all artificial through this mass advertising they've done. It's not organic. It's not real. So, you know, and this thing about debating, he is terrified to debate Candace Owens. He is not.
It's never going to happen.
He is not a brilliant debater. And I'm going to send you somewhere you can see this for yourself. Okay. Ben Shapiro likes to debate college kids. He's a grown man with lots of experience, and he knows what's going on. He debates children. He wins against children, and then declares himself a brilliant debater. He does not want to go up against an equal like Candace Owens because he's afraid he'll get his clock cleaned. And he did an interview via satellite with a guy in the UK. I pulled up this interview. I wasn't going to play this, but I am. This is a guy, he's in the UK. It's a BBC interview, and his name is Andrew Neil. And he's interviewing Ben Shapiro. And I don't think he really got tough on Ben Shapiro, but Ben Shapiro saw he was talking to a grown man, not some college kid, not a child, and he freaked out. And Ben Shapiro actually walks out of a live TV interview, live on television in the UK. Let me play this. Andrew, you guys can look this up yourself. Andrew Neil, and I found this on YouTube. It says, Andrew Neil destroys Ben Shapiro in BBC interview. All right, so that's the title on YouTube. And this is from The Guardian that put this up.
Why is it that a bill banning abortions after a woman has been pregnant for 6 weeks is not a return to the dark ages? What's your answer?
My answer is something called science. Human life exists at conception. It ought to be protected. Now, back to my question to you. You purport to be an objective journalist. BBC purports to be an objective down-the-middle network. It obviously is not. It never has been. And you as a journalist are proceeding to call one side of the political aisle ignorant, barbaric, and sending us back to the dark ages. Why don't you just say that you're on the left? Is this so hard for you? Why can't you just be honest?
Mr.
Seriously,
Shapiro,
it's a serious question.
Mr. Shapiro, if you only knew how ridiculous that statement is, you wouldn't have said it. I just asked you a question.
And I asked you a question. You failed to answer a single one of mine. Frankly, I find this whole thing a waste of time. If you want to read the book and critique the book, why don't you read and critique the book? If you want to critique me, you can think whatever you want of me.
Why don't you
frankly,
just try and
I don't
answer
care.
the
I don't
questions?
frankly give a damn what you think of me since I've never heard of you.
And I've never heard of you until I briefed myself for this. But that's not the issue. You have a
Then
new
why the hell
book
are you
out,
interviewing
and
me, sir?
it's an interesting book. But my point is, your book claims that
Well, it'd be nice if you would quote it from time to time.
Your book is, well, actually, I've done so several times, and I'm about to do so again, if you would let me just finish the question. Your book
frankly, I don't
claims
think
that
this,
society
honestly,
is turning its
sir,
back on Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah,
What are those values?
considering
What are the values it's turning its back on?
I'm not inclined to continue an interview with a person as badly motivated as you as an interviewer. So I think we're done here. I appreciate your time, sir.
All right.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you for your time and for showing that anger is not part of American political discourse. Now, Mr. Shapiro, we'll say goodbye.
Ben Shapiro,
a coward.
the guy really didn't give him a hard time at
No,
all.
Not at all. These were very easy questions, very easy to answer.
And he just, I don't know why he was terrified, Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
And let me
he
tell
was
you,
having like a panic attack.
anyone could handle this guy with what he was saying about
Yeah.
abortion. I don't know anything about him. Somebody may tell me he's some big conservative in the UK. Maybe I don't know. But somebody starts asking me why there shouldn't be abortion. I'm not going to get into it now, but I can tell you why. I don't care if you agree with me or not. But Ben Shapiro, you see how he ran there. He's terrified of Candace Owens. And not only that with Candace Owens.
He's a coward.
Candace Owens knows things about him he probably doesn't want people to know because she was been around him for so long. So he is completely terrified of her.
When her NDA is over,
It may be for life, Kathy. Those NDAs
no
can
way.
be for life.
There's no
They
way
can be
she
for life.
signed that.
Well, it
No way. She'd be an idiot.
They depends how much they paid her.
No. I've never heard of that. They all have a time.
No, they
limit.
don't. In fact, this thing was
There's
Stormy.
no way she
Kathy,
would have signed one for life.
This trial with this fake trial in New York with Trump with the NDAs, the Stormy Daniels NDA and that NDA that the guy for the Inquirer got the Playboy girl to sign. Those are for life.
I cannot imagine she would do that. If she did,
Yeah, she's not a stripper. Or
she's an
porn
idiot.
actress. Yeah, exactly.
But if that ever does end, she will definitely reveal a lot and maybe make up some stuff too. Because I don't trust her, to be completely honest. I really don't like either of them.
She's a never Trumper too. Remember, guys.
She
Yes.
plays both sides. She's a troll.
Yes.
She loves to troll black celebrities to get famous. And I'm not saying she's not smart and articulate and interesting. She is, but she's also a troll and she's an opportunist of the highest degree. Fine, but I don't even know if I believe her story about this intern. I mean, everything she does is self-serving, in my opinion. So who knows if she's even being honest about that little tidbit? Because what would that have to do with her wanting to have a debate with him? I mean, how convenient.
And Kathy, what she said doesn't make what Candace Owens said didn't make complete sense to me at all, okay?
No.
So she said that the Daily Wire sent someone there to, I guess, record her and catch her. Charlie Kirk's recording it. I mean, I got a clip from it from Charlie Kirk.
It sounded made up.
So it's anybody can get a hold of the video there. You know, here's a lot of the problem with Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro. This is a lot of the problem. It's too much about them, right? It's all about them.
Exactly.
And
nobody cares that much.
And all they talk about is how much people hate them or are afraid of them or are opposing them.
Nobody
or won't
cares
stand
enough
up to
about them. There's bigger things going on in the country. Everybody's focused on Trump. They're not even talking about Trump. Yeah, they're both egomaniacs. That's why they don't get along, because they have very similar personalities.
That's exactly right. I mean, I knew they would clash when she went over there, that it was bad news.
No, they're both a lot alike.
Yeah. Now, coming up in the next segment, I found something that really was shocking to me about the Biden family, okay? And this will, I think, probably not surprise some of you. It shocked me. I'll share it with you when we get back. But I want to take a moment, though, to talk about a great patriot, and that, of course, is Mike Lindell. You know, Mike Lindell, he has gone through and sacrificed so much because of his support of Trump. They've tried to put his entire business out of business. And, you know, they've done a lot of damage to him, right? They threw him out of Walmart, the number one retailer in the world. They threw him out of many of the other big stores. I mean, they've really, they raided him. The FBI, remember, they raided him, took his cell phone in a drive-through. They pinned him in a drive-through up against a fast food restaurant. Can you imagine? Why? Because he supports Trump. And Mike Lindell is a big, big supporter of me and all of the content that I bring you. The podcast here with Kathy, my YouTube channel, the radio show that I do with Steve Kane. Mike Lindell is a great patriot who supports Trump, but he also is a major supporter of everything I do. And he has been for many, many years. And to thank Mike Lindell and to thank him for his support of all the content that I'm connected to, that I bring to you guys, you go to mypillow.com, use my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, and you can load up. Oh, by the way, Kathy, you got to order me some stuff, okay?
Okay.
If you go to mypillow.com,
yes,
and you go to the bottom of the website, you got to go to the bottom of the website. It's almost hidden, okay? They have open box specials.
Great.
And they have open box specials on some of the top MyPillow products. You know, you can get the MyPillow slippers for $19.99 and the open box special with our promo code Kane at checkout.
That's fantastic.
And there's a bunch of other things there too. Some of the top products, open box special. They're still brand new, just open box. I don't know how that happens. Maybe, you know, some of the boxes got bent or something in the warehouse. I don't know. But you can use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, site-wide. It's free shipping on all orders over $75. But check out those open box specials. There's some incredible deals there. And don't mess around on the slippers because that's so low, they could run out of sizes, okay? You don't want them to run out of your size. So go your size. So go to mypillow.com, use our promo code Kane, and do what Mike Lindell does. Support this program, all right? Promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout at mypillow.com. My name's Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. I found something out about the Bidens I want to share with you right after this.
Men, are you tired of looking tired? You can turn your tired eyes into a vibrant and refreshed look with a specially formulated under-eye cream for men at amazon.com/shops/Meditati. That's MEDITATI. This anti-aging formula is designed to repair and protect your eyes against the common signs of aging. Dark circles, puffiness, and those pesky crow's feet, gone. With Meditati, you'll say goodbye to those tired eyes and hello to a youthful appearance. It's packed with peptides, vitamin C, jojoba oil, green tea, CoQ10, and other essential ingredients. This formula will keep your under eyes bright and refreshed. It also keeps your skin hydrated with the highest quality natural and organic ingredients. It's crafted by skincare experts, and this non-greasy, lightweight formula absorbs quickly and efficiently, nourishing the skin around your eyes. So if you're tired of puffiness and wrinkles, go right now to amazon.com/shops/Meditati. That's MEDITATI. Don't miss out on this chance to give your eyes the care they deserve, because you and your eyes deserve it. Amazon.com/shops/Meditati. Father's Day is just around the corner. Are you searching and searching for that perfect gift that says, "Thanks, Dad"? Then look no further than ActicFox Market US on Etsy. Their bestseller is the wooden keepsake puzzle piece with matching keychain. Each piece is laser engraved with a heartfelt message. You can choose from their thoughtful messages or customize it with your own words to make it uniquely his. ActicFox Market US on Etsy has a wide range of thoughtful, customizable gifts, from unique apparel and patriotic creations to to stylish home decor and accessories. Every piece is designed with love and crafted to bring a smile to Dad's face. And here's something to really celebrate. Use the promo code RADIO and save 15% off any order over $79.50, plus free shipping anywhere in the United States. That's right, free shipping. Make this Father's Day unforgettable. Visit the shop right now online at ActicFoxMarketUS.Etsy.com. Arctic Fox Market US is U.S. veteran owned. Start shopping right now online at ArcticFoxMarketUS.Etsy.com. That's ArcticFoxMarketUS.Etsy.com. Your special gift for a special dad is just a click away. ArcticFoxMarketUS.Etsy.com. How would you like to have fresh, organic greens right in your own home? Braga Farms, a family-run urban farm located in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, has been bringing the farm-to-table experience to doorsteps like yours for years. And now they're sharing their secrets in their new book, The Gardener's Art of War, from author J.T. Braga. This is the first book in their garden series. The Gardener's Art of War combines the wisdom of Sun Tzu with practical gardening strategies and a transformative 13-chapter guide. With this book, you'll learn how to tackle garden challenges with precision, how to nurture soil health, and combat pest invasions, all through the lens of strategic mastery. Whether you're a novice or a seasoned gardener with years of experience, The Gardener's Art of War will equip you with the knowledge to cultivate a flourishing garden oasis. Join Braga Farms in their mission to get as many people planting and growing as possible in 2024. Make sure to check out their Amazon collection, where you will find everything you need to know to grow, spread seeds, and help your urban farm keep going well into the summer and beyond. Order your copy of The Gardener's Art of War online at BragaFarmsDFW.com. The Gardener's Art of War and the Amazon collection from Braga Farms. Order your copy right now at BragaFarmsDFW.com, and let's grow together. You've heard the news. People all over America are moving to new cities, new towns, even new states. But before you pack up and move your entire family, ask yourself this. Do you know anything about that new neighborhood? Don't just relocate. Relocate with confidence. Visit Maptimum.com. That's spelled MAP, T-I-M-U-M. And get to know your new neighborhood before you even pack a box. Whether it's across the state or across the country, Maptimum provides detailed, instantly generated reports on everything you need to know about your new neighborhood, from crime to schools, natural hazards, political leaning of the neighborhood, demographics, air quality, AI-generated insights, and more to help you vet your options. All you do is go to Maptimum.com, enter the area, the name of the neighborhood, or the zip code. That's it. You get a comprehensive snapshot at your fingertips. No more guessing and no surprises. So before you make that big move, make the smart move. Visit Maptimum.com. That's MAP, T-I-M-U-M. They cover the entire United States. Maptimum.com, your first step to a new beginning. Maptimum.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Okay, now we all know the Bidens are really scummy people, right? I mean, there's just no getting around it. You know, Hunter, I mean, I would be afraid to even be around him. He's like a street junkie. He cleans himself up a little bit here and there for like state dinners. It's really a national embarrassment that this is our first family. But the Daily Mail has a story today about Ashley Biden's boyfriend. And I was really surprised because I don't know too much about her. I've seen her on television. She's like her mom. She looks like a librarian. Now, I know she's been out of rehab and all that stuff all the time. But listen,
is Jill Biden her mother?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Jill Biden is her mother. Ashley had an affair with a violent junkie. Can you imagine?
Well, that tells me that she's a junkie.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she's been in and out of rehab, right?
Yeah. They did such a great job.
You can tell what a man and a woman are like by their children.
Usually when you have kids, and if you got one kid that's got those problems, you can, write it off as the black sheep of the family, whatever. But when you got two kids,
oh yeah,
then you're the problem. And there's obviously a lot of trauma that these I'm not excusing their behavior, but obviously they're reacting to the childhood trauma they had, and they just can't cope with real life, and the trauma they had growing up.
Spoiled rich kids
still affect. Well, who knows what kind of father he was? I mean, we can all imagine.
And you know, Kathy, when when you have an entire family, when all the children are addicts, okay, where do they learn that from?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's obviously trauma, and yeah, they didn't. Yeah,
there's some substance abuse with the adults in that family too, not just the kids.
For sure.
So this is
according to Trump, for sure.
Well, you look at this family. Okay, so this is in the Daily Mail. Ashley Biden had an affair with a violent junkie who terrorized his family and stole from friends before succumbing to a fatal drug overdose. The president's daughter, who turned up at the court in Delaware on Monday to support her half-brother Hunter, praised Eric Dingler's style and swag after falling for him during a stint in rehab.
Oh, that's exactly where you want to meet somebody.
Yeah, in rehab.
Spend the rest of your life with.
Yeah. By the way, why are these rehabs co-ed? That's insane.
They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be.
I bet you a lot of people go to rehab
now
just to hook up.
There are no genders now.
That's true. She says he's a great kisser. He's calming and sweet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She said
she sounds like a 15-year-old.
She said she always was boy crazy. And this guy, one of the men she hooked up with was Dingler. He's a surfer.
One of the men.
That's one of the men. Yes.
Okay.
He's a surfer, not highly educated, barely knows his grammar, but he does know how to love, she wrote.
And kiss, apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The 6'6" Khan's former victims remember him as a brazen criminal who spent a total of 6 years in Florida prisons for robbery, drug trafficking, and theft. You know, she was in rehab, not too far from Mar-a-Lago, not too far from where we live. All he cared about was surfing and getting wasted, said one of his acquaintances. That guy was a danger to himself and others. Dingler's lifestyle caught up with him in April last year when he was found dead at the age of 39, overdosing on a cocktail of fentanyl, oxycodone, and morphine.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah, all the things that Biden has brought into the country through the southern border. You know, why are Biden's kids like this? Both of them. I mean, they're messed up on every level.
Yeah, well, I think we can make educated guesses here.
You really got to wonder what Jill Biden, you see her on The View and things, and she comes off like a librarian, like she was like a retired librarian. She's got to be just like Hunter and Ashley. They got to all be this way. You don't have all your kids that are having these, because what this tells us is that her relationships are just as twisted as Hunter's.
Well, let me tell you, when I was in school, I learned quickly in my high school, the richest kids were the most drug addicted.
Well, they had the money for the drugs.
They're the ones who had all the drugs.
Yeah.
And their parents were never home. They were always having parties. There were never parents around. So I think this is a common thing with very wealthy, connected people, is they don't give a damn about their kids, or they treat them very badly. And I think a lot of these rich people, like you mentioned, they all their kids are this way. You know what I mean? I think they sympathize with the Bidens, and they're like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Like I got problems. Unlike Trump's kids, who are all great. I'm dying to know where Hunter's going to college. I wonder when they're going to announce that.
You mean Barron?
Barron, sorry.
Barron, not Hunter.
Sorry, we were talking about Barron. I'm dying to know where he's going.
Yeah, you know, Trump has a rally in Vegas today, and it's nice to see that Right Side Broadcasting is getting back to their roots. Okay, I was a little worried about them. We were talking about them on the last episode. Right Side Broadcasting, they're at this Vegas rally many hours before Trump. They're out in the crowd interviewing people. They have some of the young people back, not as many, but they have some of the young people back. They're out in the crowd interviewing people in line. They're showing the crowd this like the old days of Right Side. So I'm glad they're back. I was afraid we were going to lose them.
I just saw something funny in the comments. Somebody said, I identify as non-binary.
I like that. Yes, that's me.
Non-binary.
Yes, that's my pronoun.
So I got a text from Trump. And he's, because we have been making donations for the MAGA line, mightymagaline.com. So now I'm on their list. And he sent a text to cast your vote for VP. And the questionnaire is you fill in the name. There's not a list. Which person would you select as the next vice president? And you fill in the name. Mm-hmm. Then he asks you what issues are important to you. And he has a list of about 7 things like the border, crime, this and that. Then he asks, should my VP be a government official or a political outsider? Should my VP be a person of faith? Would you prefer my VP to be a veteran? So he is, I think that's very interesting. And there's a few more questions. Very interesting that he's taking a poll of his supporters, the people that donate, and he is asking them who they would prefer. Yeah. And he's taking that into consideration. So I think that's really good. Those are the questions. And maybe you'll get, if you make a donation, you get the same text and fill that out, because I think that they are getting close to, that tells me maybe they haven't chosen somebody yet. And he's got like a list, and he's really kind of wants to gauge from the people who would be good.
It's, there's no way to guess who he's going to pick. Right?
I still think it's Burgum. That's who I think it's going to be. I think they understand each other. They're businessmen. They have similar background. They're both very wealthy. They have a similar vision for the country. And Burgum's not anybody who's, to me, like super controversial. Or I think that's who his pick's going to be. I think it'd be a smart pick.
The thing about whoever he picks, and this is something people got to understand. First off, I don't care who he picks. I'm going to support Trump no matter who he picks. Okay, if he picked Hillary Clinton, I'd support him. Okay, I know that's extreme, and but you know what I mean.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, if he picked Adam Schiff,
extreme.
But
I don't think we have to worry about that.
We don't have to worry about that. But whoever he picks, we're still going to support him. Whoever he picks, though, not everyone is going to approve. There's going to be something wrong with whoever he picks. Okay, there's not the only one that's like is Trump is the only so whoever he picks, there's a good chance there's going to be something about them that you might not approve of.
Well, this is astounding.
And exactly. You got to move on from that. Ronald Reagan said, there's the Republican Party is a big tent, and that if you agree with me 80% of the time, you're welcome in the tent.
Right.
And this thing that you've got to be
open-minded.
Yeah, this thing that you got to be 100% on board with everybody, that's an impossible standard that just ain't going to happen.
Yeah. It's amazing because we have the rally on, and they're in Nevada, there's a lot of Mexican Americans.
I wish it could be 100%, but it's just not realistic.
There's a lot of Mexican Americans here, and there's a Mexican American right now.
Because it's close to the border.
And I promise you they're not for all this border problem. And that has got to scare the hell out of the left, because they've always prided themselves that Republican speeches and conventions are all white people. And they would love to remind you of that. And now with Trump, the crowds are very diverse, very, very diverse. And that drives them nuts. They convince themselves these people are paid to be here, and they're only here because they're getting paid. That's not true. That's what they do, but that's not true. This is pure love. They're here. It's because they support Trump and they want to see him win, and they love the country. And it's heartwarming to see. It's nice to see all these people supporting him, and it's going to be the greatest comeback of all time. I tell you that.
And Bill Maher, this is the second show in a row on his HBO show. Again this week, he said that Biden's going to lose. He can't win.
No, he can't win.
He said it last week, and now he said it on this week's show.
They're trying to get him to quit, and I think they're really putting the pressure on before the convention. Never going to happen. He's so out of it. It's so bad. It's really up to his wife. If she told him to quit, he would do it. But there's no way she is going to give up being first lady.
No.
That's not going to happen. And she doesn't care what condition
That's her drug.
Yeah, so exactly. So Bill Maher, that is all about, he's right, but they are really putting the pressure on him before the convention. And I wouldn't be surprised if they paid one of his kids to say something very negative about him. I could see that coming too.
But this fantasy that if they pass over the sitting president, they're going to pass over the vice president too, and then they're going to plug somebody in who's going to be Trump.
They all live in a fantasy world.
That's a fantasy.
I mean, who can they put in there? Not Newsom. He's destroying California.
And Kathy,
all these restaurants are closing because of his $20 minimum wage now.
It's one thing to get him. They'd have to skip over Kamala too. It would be devastating.
And who would they put in the place?
I know someone's going. Michelle.
She's not going to do it.
This idea that Michelle is something. Have you really ever heard her speak?
Well, they must have somebody in mind.
No. They're just in a panic.
Their thinking is probably anybody's better than him, and maybe they're not going to skip over Kamala. Maybe they think she can get her act together.
This thing about Biden and Normandy, I thought at first this was like a meme joke, but I think this might be true now. And when Biden went to sit down where there was no chair,
right?
And Jill stopped him. A lot of people are saying that he went in his pants. Number 2 then. And when I first started hearing that,
I see people doing it all over
on
now.
Friday.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, that's just some gross meme. And then I saw a couple more times of him doing it.
And what do you think?
I think he did. I think he had an accident. I think he had an accident. He does now. Listen, he's got it. I'm not kidding. He wears adult diapers. Everybody knows this. So he had adult diapers on. But I think
that's why he walks funny.
I think he had an accident. I do. He's incontinent.
He is. It's really sad to see, and believe me, I'm not saying I have sympathy for this man, but it is kind of sad to see people shuffling him around. It is almost like Weekend at Bernie's. Brian's never seen that movie, by the way, so you got to watch that with me.
Maybe watch it tonight
because you'll be like, "Holy crap, that's Biden!" Yeah. you'll get it. It's a great movie. But it is like they're just shuffling him around. He's a perfect puppet for Obama and Hillary and the people running the country. So they might want to win, but he can't win. He's so bad, and the economy is so bad. We were talking about it the other day, how everything is so much more across the board. And we were going through our finances, and it's just shocking, like groceries and everything. It's affecting everybody. Everybody's feeling it.
Well, what Bill Maher was talking about was this thing at the southern border. Now, last week he said Biden's going to lose. Too. And this week, because it shows once a week on HBO. This week he said he's going to lose. And what Bill Maher was talking about in particular was this border thing that Biden just did. Now, Biden and the Democrats are trying to sell you this idea that he shut down the border. What he did was legalize illegal immigration. Yeah. He said 2,500 illegals can come across a day, and then at 2,501, if you trust them to do that, they'll stop them. I mean, so he's legalized it and says it's no more illegal immigration. If you legalize a crime, I guess there's no more crime. If you legalize,
do you think how can they set it up for them to be able to vote? Because a lot of people have said, even Trump has said, that's what it's about. They're bringing in voters.
Well, what they do, and this is
how would that legally happen?
It can't. That's the thing.
They don't follow the law.
Well, you said legally, but the main thing that's we gotta focus in on now is this jury thing. Now, this jury thing that's going on in the Trump case. They're going to try to make this go away. This story came out on Friday, and what the story is, there's a guy who posted to the court's official Facebook page the day before the verdict in the Trump trial came down that they had a message for all the MAGA crazies that they have a cousin who's a female juror on the Trump jury, and the jury's going to come back guilty. And the judge in that case, Judge Merchan, sent a letter to Trump's attorneys and the prosecutors about this, and everyone's talking mistrial. That came out Friday afternoon. For a couple days later, it's pretty much disappeared, and they're trying to do one of those Friday news dumps where it all disappears by Monday so that they can move on from it. But that jury misconduct is a big story. And I did a live stream on YouTube right after it broke Friday afternoon on that and broke it all down. I'm going to do it again tomorrow morning on the morning show on the radio because the news media are going to try to move away from that. They want that to be forgotten, but it's a big, big deal. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, that's just a troll. Well, how do you know, right? And, Greta Van Susteren, she said, for Judge Mershon to send out that letter, he knows more than we know about this. There was something else that he knew that set him off. And when Judge Mershon sent out the letter, he sent out an edited version of the Facebook post. He left out the part of the post where the guy said MAGA crazies. He left all that out. So the judge is involved in a cover-up of what that Facebook poster wrote. He didn't even want all of it out there. So we cannot let them sweep this corrupt jury story under the rug. And don't assume that the guy's a troll. Maybe he is, but maybe he's not.
Right.
There's been no investigation. I think it's a good chance it's real. He was specific about the gender. He said she. He said he's got a cousin, and she told him. So that
I don't think the judge would have put out a letter unless it was genuine. But nothing has happened. We'll see what happens this week.
Well, then I told you the news are going to try to disappear
they
that
haven't
story.
even talked about it.
So we're going to have to do everything we can do to get the story out. Now, over the weekend, CNN, I tell you these creeps at CNN. So the Israeli army, the IDF, rescued some of the Israeli hostages, including the girl that was kidnapped on the motorcycle.
Yes.
And they rescued all of them. And it was her and the rest were men, and they were in residences, private residences. And CNN reported that they were released, that the hostages were released. Now, they've had to correct it because people came down on them. The Palestinian terrorists did not release this girl or the hostages. They were rescued by the Israeli army, and that is a very amazing story. But CNN, who they're pro-Palestinian terrorist, so they got busted crafting fake news. And
Shocker.
I mean,
that's all they do.
As soon as the story came out of Israel, the story was the IDF rescued Israeli hostages and told us who they were.
I think they try to be more middle of the road sometimes, because sometimes I watch them and
that's not middle of the road.
And I'm shocked at how honest they're being. So I don't know what that's about, but that's probably what they were told to report. I think they get a lot of their scripts.
Well, yeah, it's the deep state. CNN's the deep state.
So they read what's scripted, and I think that's what they have. No journalists over there investigating and reporting back to them. They're being told what to say.
And the girl that they got on the motorcycle, there's been video of her. There's been 2 pieces of video with her. One with her father,
right?
And then she was on the phone with Netanyahu. And I was surprised she's not pregnant.
Yeah.
And that she looked as good as she did, because I thought she would have had the tar beaten out of her. God only knows what she went through.
Yeah.
I don't even want to know what she went through. But for the life of me, I don't understand why these young girls in this country are supporting a guy. I saw a guy.
All the Gen Z and the younger millennials are all supporting Gaza.
What they did to these girls. I saw a guy today. I forgot his name. You guys will know his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. He's the Young Turk's nephew that he does a show on YouTube. And he said, I don't know if it was 3 or 4 hostages were rescued.
Right. He
said 3 or 4, whichever the numbers, I'd forgotten. Hostages rescued, 200 dead. Well, I'm sorry, they're holding hostages, and they've been holding them since October. I'm sorry that they died, but they shouldn't be holding these civilians hostage in Gaza. And that logic, I'm like, well, I can't believe the guy thinks that way. And these girls that I see all over the place, all over social media, defending these Gaza people with what they're doing. They've got women that they've been raping since October.
Well, where are they getting their? Because if you go on TikTok, I follow a lot of people on Book Talk because I'm really into reading, and it's a lot of young girls, and they all have fundraisers for this stuff, and it's just amazing to me.
It's
and
insane.
Then I find that out, and then I unfollow them. Not all of them, but the ones that do, I don't follow them anymore. But it is incredible. I wonder. I think it's just the Obama. They started learning this in elementary school. I think they started making part of the curriculum. This anti-Semitism, and they're all in their early 20s, and they're our daughter's age, and they're like Gen Z, and I think that's just what they've been taught.
Yeah, I guess. Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much, guys. And remember, you Patreon supporters, you have access to commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes, okay? And there's a lot of other content that's exclusive that Kathy and I post there that we post nowhere else, but is available on our Patreon page. And if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you. And at the end, we got a new top Patreon supporter we're going to welcome into the mix of top Patreon supporters. So I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, LeeZep, Shawna, Constance, George, Brandon, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, and our newest top Patreon supporter is Kristi R.
Awesome.
Kristi R., our newest top Patreon supporter. Welcome
Kristi.
and thank you all. Yes, Kristi, and of course, Kristi's added to the list of top Patreon supporters.
Wonderful.
Thank you all for your support. And again, if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode.
And I want to mention the Mighty MAGA Lion at mightymagalion.com. It's our exclusive little tribute to President Trump. It's an adorable yet fierce-looking lion, very cute stuffed animal with a MAGA hat. It's absolutely adorable. And we make a donation to the Trump campaign for every purchase. We're doing that now. We started doing that a couple weeks ago. And so every time you buy one, and if you buy 3 or however many you buy, we make a donation for each one, not just for each order, but each lion gets a percentage donated. So it's a great way to support us, support Trump, and get a cute lion, stuffed lion with a MAGA hat. You'll love it. It's somebody sent a picture they got one for their dog. And they had a picture of the dog with it, and it was so cute. You know how some dogs like to have a stuffed animal? I used to have a dog, a golden, that loved having a stuffed animal to carry around. And their dog loves it. So it's actually a great thing to get for your dog, too, if you want to do that.
Absolutely.
If you have a bigger dog or even a small dog. But it's great for dogs, for people, kids, young and old. It's really adorable. We spent a lot of time designing it with Dee, and you really, really will love it. MightyMagaLion.com.
That's right. And there's a link in the description of that, too. All right, we're going to take our last break, and there's much more to talk about right after this.
Have you ever heard that laughter is the best medicine? You'll find out how true that is with your weekly Therapy podcast, available on all podcast platforms. Host Tell and Anne-Marie, your not-so-typical therapist and nurse practitioner duo, have a flair for ADHD and life's hilarities. They'll make you laugh, cry, and maybe even rethink some of your life choices. And that's just in one episode. And no topic is off limits. Tell and Anne-Marie discuss everything from gaslighting, daily life with ADHD, and relationships. Add your weekly Therapy podcast to your podcast playlist, available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can catch the video podcast on YouTube. Don't just cope, laugh, learn, and sip some therapy. It's therapy with a twist. Share the podcast on all your social media so your friends can tune in too. Your weekly Therapy podcast. Start listening right now. Think you know everything about American history? Guess again. Enter the shadows of America's past with America's Strangest History, a podcast where the forgotten stories of American history come to life. Host John Genoa is a historian and practicing attorney. His research uncovers the eerie and unusual aspects of American history that's not covered by mainstream historians. From untold mysteries to hidden history, each episode reveals spine-chilling secrets that are a part of America's actual historical record. Did you know about the earliest recorded instance of vampirism in Vermont? That's just one glimpse of what you'll uncover on America's Strangest History. New episodes drop every week. America's Strangest History is available wherever you get your podcast. You can watch the video podcast on YouTube. Subscribe today, tune in, and share the podcast with all your friends on social media. America's Strangest History with host John Genoa on all podcast platforms and YouTube. Start listening right now. From authors A.W. Guerra and Kelly C. Hogan comes Second Strike, Danger Close, the second book in their explosive trilogy, now available on Amazon. 1 year after a devastating terrorist attack on the United States, retired Delta Force member Luke Ellis and college freshman Annie Dedham are back. Together, they embark on a high-stakes, cross-country mission to prevent global war between the United States and China. With the help of a self-aware AI, Luke and Annie face off against Chinese special forces and a sinister AI. But the AI may be under the influence of an even darker force. As the clock ticks down, sacrifices must be made. Will Luke, Annie, and the AI be enough to stop impending war? Find out when you read Second Strike, Danger Close, from authors A.W. Guerra and Kelly C. Hogan. Available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. Don't miss out on this heart-pounding sequel. Order your copy right now. Take a journey of faith and wonder with Grandpa. Is God Real? The new children's book from author C.S. Duncan. Available in both English and Spanish on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com. In Grandpa, Is God Real? Join a young girl as she explores life's big questions with her loving grandfather. Despite being miles apart, their bond is unbreakable, woven together by stories and lessons that bring faith to life. Through nature's beauty and daily wonders, her grandpa lovingly shares his belief in God's presence all around us. Grandpa, Is God Real? Is a gentle introduction to faith. It's perfect for sharing between grandparents and their grandchildren. It celebrates the special connections that help faith grow through curiosity and love. Available in Kindle and paperback, Grandpa, Is God Real? Is the perfect addition to your family story time. It's a gift of faith, love, and shared wisdom that will inspire both young hearts and old alike. Order your copy today on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com. Available in English and Spanish. And share both the gift of reading and faith with your loved ones. Grandpa, Is God Real? From author C.S. Duncan, where stories and faith meet in the wonder of life.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. So Dana Bash had Kristi Noem on, and she said a lot of things that were pretty right on the money. So I want to play some of this exchange, and we'll talk about it. And, you know, that puppy thing, about shooting the puppy, I don't want to hear anybody, oh, you don't know, it's on a farm. It does not matter. Americans view puppies, dogs, as people almost. So
part of the family.
You know, it's bad. Okay,
I'm so mad she put that in.
We
her
all
book.
know what goes on the farm. Yeah,
she just screwed everything up.
She. Yeah, I know.
Because I really
she could have
wanted
been
her
his
to be
running mate,
and I think he
She
was
could
going
have
to
been
pick her.
president. Yeah.
I really wanted it to be her.
Maybe he still will.
No,
But
no
I
way.
think it's not likely because of the puppy thing.
Not going to happen.
No, she
just should have. Don Jr. said she should have kept that out of her book.
Well, the thing about that is, she put that in her book. Nobody would have known about this
That's
puppy
right.
thing, and she did
It was
it.
stupid.
You know, the thing. I believe she did it because she wants to show people she's tough as a man and she can kill puppies on the farm too, just like a man can. I think she was like trying to prove that, which a lot of women try to do a lot of times that are in typical man positions.
Well, she really miscalculated.
You know? But anyway, let's go through some of this because she talks.
But I still like her, but I don't like the fact she did that. I'm sorry.
So this is Kristi Noem over the weekend on CNN with Dana Bash.
Joe Biden's such a train wreck. The guy's 80 years old and making the worst decisions I've ever seen him make in his entire life and destroying our country, not just on the foreign policy stage by what he's doing in the Middle East, but also what he's doing on our economy, and he's putting every other country and our enemies in front of America. And I think that's just horrible right now.
Okay. Now, this part here with Biden, we're living through this terrible time with Biden,
Yes.
so we lose a little bit of context. Biden came out of retirement to make money. Okay, he ran for president so that he could steal money from the government to set his family up.
Right.
What happened with Joe? His son Bo, that sadly passed away, was supposed to take over the family business. He was going to be the senator. okay, and he was going to spend the rest of his life doing corrupt deals, Beau Biden. I mean, you see what his wife was like. She was sleeping with Hunter.
Yeah.
So Beau has to be just as scummy as the other two kids.
Yeah, the whole family. The whole family.
And Beau was going to take over the family business of public corruption. And because he died, they can't plug in Hunter. They can't plug in Ashley. They're everybody knows they're junkies. So Joe had to come out of retirement. So everything he does is to make money. He thinks he's the father of the year, okay? He thinks he's the greatest father in history to set his family up. So there's no getting through to Biden. All these things are happening because Biden's getting paid, okay? So anyway, let's get back to this. Kristi Noem with Dana Bash.
Do you realize, Dana, that what he did last week is that when the Trump verdict...
Oh, it's Dana. I always call her Dana. It's Dana.
Dana, yeah.
Dana. Like Rosanna Dana?
Yeah.
Okay. What,
I guess, even though it's spelled like Dana.
I think it's spelled CIA is how I think it's spelled, but, whatever.
Came out in his trial. Joe Biden held a press conference announcing a deal between Israel and a terrorist organization that was not agreed to, and he did it during Shabbat. I mean, how disrespectful to the Jewish people to hold a press conference that they can't even respond to for religious reasons. I just believe that we've got people that, that really
See, Dana, she doesn't want that out there. During Shabbat, they can't use electronics.
But she didn't really stop her. I think that there is, honestly, the press, there is a collective effort to get him to resign. And I think, Dana, other than that little moment, Dana, she just sat there and let Kristi Noem go on and on. She didn't stop her, which is very unusual. Yeah. And she just destroyed Biden. And I really think they are putting the pressure on him to try to step down. Never going to happen.
No.
Need to recognize how weak this president is. And you were talking about hostages earlier in your show. As Jimmy Carter, who Iran held hostages for 444 days under Jimmy Carter because he was weak back in 1979 and 1980. And the day Ronald Reagan was inaugurated, they were released, because they recognized that Ronald Reagan would be a strong president. Exactly. We've got the exact same situation here in America. Why are we not there getting our Americans home? Yeah. Why are we not telling to Hamas, give us our Americans back? Why?
Some of the hostages that the Palestinians have are American citizens that were in Israel. That's what she's talking about.
Why are we not telling Russia to give us our journalists back? Yeah, I think the number one thing that this president should be doing is protecting Americans. Yeah. Go get our Americans and bring them home. That's what I'm upset about.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there. Maybe you can come back and we're out of time. We can talk more about it. But obviously, President Biden is very aggressively trying to get the Americans back. It's a very complicated situation.
Oh, of course.
Well, it's not complicated. He's sending the money. Stop sending the money, and they'll give them back. Stop giving Iran money. Stop giving the Gaza people money, and they'll give them back.
He's not going to do that either.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's crazy.
Yeah, Biden's out for Biden. He's doing whoever pays the most money is what he's going to do,
and that's why he won't resign, because he's in this for the money.
No,
he's not in this for any good reason. He resigns.
No.
He doesn't.
His wife's going to wheel him around, and bring him out to shuffle him along, and it's a sad sight to see.
And honestly. you saw her on The View last week. She thinks they got it locked up. Jill thinks Joe's popular, and that Trump's inarticulate and can't win a debate against her husband.
Well, we'll find out soon.
They live on another planet. But one thing that's been coming out a lot on MSNBC and CNN and the networks are how bad the polls are for Biden, which is very unusual. That's what I'm saying.
They're trying to get him to resign.
This is Face the Nation today, and they're talking about some of the recent polls.
I have a lot of the campaign rhetoric speaking of what people say they would do. You've seen the Trump campaign talking about mass deportations. We tested that in a general way in principle. Would you support a new government program that would deport all people living in the U.S. illegally? And that finds majority favor. That finds 6 in 10. It's strongest among folks who are...
Okay, he didn't give the exact numbers. They showed it on the screen. 62% said they would support a total deportation. 62%.
That's pretty good.
And you
more
were
than half.
You were telling me during the break that Bill Maher said that Biden has brought 9 million illegals here, which is equal to the population of Honduras, Nicaragua. Yep. So he's brought a whole country into our country.
Basically, yes.
People.
That's right. And if he stayed,
and he's not done. He's still doing it.
If he got reelected, it would be double that. It will be, believe me, it will be a free for all. It'll be double because he'll have no reason to stop or have to answer to anybody.
Well, yeah, Biden would take it as a mandate. Right now, as bad as it is, he slows it down a little because it's an election year.
Right.
If he were to be reelected,
he doesn't have to worry about
it.
That.
Would be when he would not have to worry about ever being reelected again.
He can do whatever he wants.
It would be 10 times worse than it has been. 10 times easily.
And we know the Republicans don't do anything. I mean, we have the majority in the House. They've already gotten some of the people to leave, and they're useless.
That's right. Now, listen, Trump's about to come on in Vegas, so we're going to go and watch Trump. It's a great time to end the podcast. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will